Hi everybody, today I'm going to show you my anodizing setup. I use 20-liter bucket for all the color and the chemical. I only have that big tank for my acid hooked up to the power supply. On the other side here I have all the color, and I have two that are still hot from this morning. I did a batch earlier. I did a piston tool in blue. Some of you may know most of the color need to be heated around 60 degrees Celsius, 180 Fahrenheit. I have found out over the year that some color don't need to be as hot as the other. That's why my gray color and my yellow color, I don't heat them. They just sink in a bit slower, but they end up just fine. Every bucket has its own heating element and its own temperature controller. I bought these little things out of eBay. They're really cheap, and each one is hooked up to a 110 volt 400 watt element. I don't know if we can see that. They call that cartridge heater. They have a precise ground finish. So what I did is I turned some aluminum tube and I drilled a bucket, put the tube in the bucket with a O-ring between so the liquid won't go out, and I just slide in the element in the little tube that I machined. To heat up the 20-liter bucket, it takes about 2 hours. So whenever you decide you want to do a batch, you just start your color first, then you're sure they're going to be hot enough when the piece gets out of the acid bath. Like I said earlier, I did a batch this morning, so right now they're right at the right temperature. They're going to cycle between 60 and 59 degrees until I turn them off. So yeah, one for each color. This is my acid tank. It has about 100 liter capacity. This is my pickup tube for the recirculation of the acid. Comes out over here. I use a lead sheet spread all over the bottom, connected directly to my power supply, 30 amp, 30 volt. I have a wall mounted fan because it makes some nasty fumes. As some of you may know, you need to be between 68 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit to anodize. Right now I'm perfect to start a batch. What I did to keep my temperature in check, I took that small air conditioning unit, I got it all out, and I bought all titanium construction heat exchanger. Bought that off AliExpress. It's a 0.5 kilowatt, and that along with the little giant recirculation pump, it's all I need to cool the 100 liter. It will handle full amps that my power supply can push. That means right now I can push about 20 amps, and it will cool down, and it will even cycle on and off. The heat conditioning unit has its own heat controller over here, but because it pulls too much current, I have to use an SSR. SSR, which meant for solid state relay. Each little controller can handle about 4 amps current on their internal relay, so I had to use that SSR to click the compressor on and off because it pulls too much current. In order to start my batch, I'm going to first start my wall mounted fan. Then I'm going to start the recirculation pump and the cooler, and I'm going to start my degreaser too. It's still going to be quite hot from this morning, and over time the little transducer, they lose precision. So the boiling point was around 100 Celsius and now it's around 86. So you got to keep that in mind. They're going to wear over time with the heat or with the chemical. I also have both color I'm going to be using. They're heating up. I'm also going to do some gray parts, but gray doesn't need to be heat. This is the pieces I'm going to anodize today. They are a little keychain for a local tattoo shop, and they asked me for black, blue and gray keychain, 20 of each color. First thing to do is to wash them. I always start with a good hand wash with dishwasher soap. Now that everything is clean, I need to show which rack I'm going to use to rack the pieces. I prefer these for the keychain. Gotta put glove. So all 60 keychains are racked. So I'm gonna put them on a single pole. It's gonna be easier to put in the acid bath, to degrease, and to handle until I'm ready to do the color. So all my pieces are racked and my degreaser is not ready yet. What I'm gonna do is fill my spray bottle. So the degreaser is ready. First thing is to put one of the spray bottle close. You don't want to have it too far. This is a 1500 watt water heater element. It takes about an hour to get to boiling point, and I degrease for about 30 seconds, 40 seconds, depending on how much I clean the part before. Then in the first cleaning thing, it's clean water. When I have some really dirty part, I want to use a desk mat after the degreaser, but for these, I don't use it. They shine just enough like that. Sometime when the degreaser is too powerful, it's gonna hatch your parts and they're gonna turn gray a bit. That's when this mud is really useful. So let's put the keychain in the acid. Okay, so let's start it up. Timer, power supply, aiming for around 15 volts to start. It takes about a minute to even out, to know where you really are. Shows it all around 15. So the parts are in. Temperature is great. I'm gonna hook up. It's just in case the aluminum gets too corroded and the connection is bad between them. But if it don't spark, that means the connection is already good. Alright, just gonna boost the fan a bit. And I'm gonna let it anodize for about half an hour. In half an hour I'll come and I'll start in sealer, just so it's ready and it's hot and boiling when the beads get hot and acid and in the color. Right now both colors are at 60. Ready for me. So it's been about half an hour now. Start the sealer, and I'm gonna set it just a bit lower its boiling point, so when I come back it's gonna be ready. Like I said earlier, these temperature sensors, they burn over time, so you gotta account the boiling point will change. It's been an hour and a half, the batch is done. I'm gonna turn off the power supply, the pump and the core. Gonna get these out and spray them. The keychain are out of the acid bath. I'm gonna put them a bit in bicarb. It's gonna remove any trace of the acid that could be left in it. While I clean the acid off, I'm gonna stir my color a bit. This is the dirty water. This is the water I use after the color, before I put the part in the sealer. Now that the batch is done, I'm also gonna up the temperature a bit on my controller over here. I want to make it boil. Just cleaning the rod. Now all my pieces are racked on the same spline, so I'm gonna rack them on 3 single one, so I can put one on each collar. So this time it's gonna be the black one. Taking another timer. Sealer is boiling. I'm gonna turn it off for a second. "15 seconds in. That's quite a purple hue. "1 minute. Not much color in. I like to keep my parts on the water, don't let them dry, so I'm gonna leave them on the bicarb solution. Or the bucket. It's always a good idea to refill the bottle if you're getting low. 1 minute 20. I'll leave my black for about 5 minutes. So while the color is sinking, I was tired to having to buy water for my anodizing line. I bought that of Amazon. It has a 4-stage filter. It's really slow. It will fill 50 gallons per day. It says 0.5 gallons per minute, but that's maybe with the maximum pressure applied to it. So what I do is I just fill my container now and then, so I have a good stack of water ready. It's important not to use any tap water. 5 minutes over for the black. This is ready to be rinsed, and then hop to the sealer. All nice and shiny. So I rinse the part in the dirty water. As you can see, I do a lot of black. Open up the sealer. I'm gonna use rod. Sealer. Cover back. Gonna use actually the same timer. Checking in on the gray. Starting to look cool. here. Black is done. Blue is still waiting. I know that the blue is about 2 to 3 minutes to sink in. We have 3 minutes done on the sealer for the black keychain, so I'm gonna start the blue one. When I get out of the color, the other one will be out of the sealer. So put them in. Another timer. Blue is a color you gotta watch because it can get really dark. 11 minutes done on gray. Starting to get a really nice shade. Minutes. We can get ready to get these out. Gotta be careful because it's really hot. Out of the sealer, I want to put them in dirty water to clean them. Okay. Checking in on the blue. 2 minutes 20 done. We're almost there. About 30 seconds left, maybe a minute. Sealer is boiling. Here we have the black keychain. So 252. Yeah, that's it for the blue. Dirty water. So 15 minutes done for the gray. It won't get any darker, so we can leave it there until the blue keychain are out of the sealer. The last step will be to wash them. They always need a good wash. All of the sealer. So yeah, I think you can get pretty professional result with a little home-based setup. For the keychain, I like these racks. They hold 30 pieces. There's different model. This is a 20 station. I had these custom made for a job I'm doing monthly. Then you get the bigger version, 30 station. And these, they're intended to be used together as a pair. So you can clamp different thickness of pieces between them. And you can stack a few of them on a single spline. It's all titanium construction, so you can reuse them over and over again. There's a lot of benefit to it. You can rack much more pieces, much closer. You save space, you save time. The only downside really is that you gotta put more hemp into your bat because you gotta account for the additional surface area. more ham needs more heat, so if you don't have adequate cooling, you might turn into a problem. So this is 21 minutes in the gray. So I'm gonna try to get some lighting. Not really dark. Let's have a look at those gray keychain. Oh, blue, sorry. Woohoo! They look nice. That's the finished product. Now I need to laser edge them. I had to change my sealer, so I thought it might be a good idea to show you how I mounted my heating element. I put four 400 watts elements inside these aluminum tubes. The tube have a 3/4 10 thread on the other end and seal on the bucket with the O-ring you see here. These are the same tube I use in my color bucket, but each color only has one element, hence why they take about 2 hours to reach 140 Fahrenheit. That gives me 1600 watts of heating power, enough to heat my 20 liter bucket to boiling point in about an hour. I just set the temperature a few degrees under boiling point so it doesn't spill everywhere, and I bump it up when I take the parts out of the acid tank. Because it is too much current for the 4 amp internal relay of my Chinese temperature controller, I use another solid state relay to drive them mounted on a heatsink. I first tried to use a single 1500 watts water heater tank element, but the sealer dissolved it over time. The aluminum tube resists the sealer and have good thermal conduction. On my degreaser tank, the single water heater tank element is still good after a few years.